Hello, and welcome to Greek the Week. Today's topic is on questions, questions, questions. And I was just sharing with Wendell a minute ago that I find it exciting. I also find it confusing sometimes, in that I need to get the information to Denise so that she can put it in the monthly newsletter. And so I will put down, I'll come up with a topic and then a little description of the topic. And then when it actually comes time to do the topic, there are many times that I'm going, scratching my head and going, what in the world was I thinking? So, and Wendell, you gave a little cute thing on that. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Me? What did I say?
That how good you were at giving advice, and someone would say, Wendell,
Oh,
that
yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
work
Well,
at all.
I don't know exactly. I'm not sure how it would tie together, but um, Jennifer, I use a lot of humor. And once in a while, inappropriately, then I have to beg off and apologize and what have you. But most of the time, it facilitates the flow of things. And so people say, well, Wendell, all right, I know what I'm doing is not working and I need to change. What do you think I should do? That's a, every time any of us is working with someone who's learning choice theory, reality therapy, uh, and we be a client for them, we should throw that out. Well, Jennifer, what do you think I should do? It's like we throw that out there and see if they'll bite into that one. And of course, I don't want to say what they should do. I may have ideas that have worked, but I say, well, when I was a younger helping person, I had ideas about what people to do, and I shared them, and a lot of times it worked. But then once in a while, they come back and say, Wendell, your plan didn't work worth a darn for me, and so I got all the blame and loss of credibility. So, uh, you know, it's interesting about questions. The question to me, questioning others, Greet the week. Questions, questions, questions. Mona
Yeah,
Duncan.
yes, 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 yes. So, thank you for sharing that, Wendell. I thought that was rather clever. And so, in looking at questions, 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 my little intro was kind of, what if a question is not getting an answer? That we have this question, we're wanting to know, but it's not really looking for an answer. It's just this kind of this mysterious thing about life. That right or wrong, it's about an awareness that gives you a multitude of unknown choices. That the more you ask the question, the more those choices we have availability to, and the more aware we come of all the possibilities that there could be. It's not just, matter of fact, I don't really ever want the answer to anything. Whenever
Well,
I ask the question, whether it's of another person or of myself or of life in general, I don't really want an answer to it. So, here just a little bit of thoughts that questions are complicated. And in looking at the different type of questions and kind of where they go to, we're wanting that test, that desire to know more information, whether we are asking of it of someone else or they're asking it of us. And it may be also kind of a both and a questioning of how much knowledge you have. And that questioning can be to consider all the possibilities. Well, let's just think about it. Let's just consider how many different possibilities there are that we know about, and then how many of those that we've maybe heard a little inkling about, but we really don't know anything about. And then questioning also is to help us to determine some options as to whether we want to say yes to this or no to that. It is also sometimes in questioning, we are really harboring some kind of suspicion that we're wanting to be clarified, that we're
that's right.
wanting something that's not muddy, we're wanting it to be more clear. And then also, after a while, there are times that that questioning needs to be put to a vote. So now let's see here if it's going to be a yes, we'll go with it and see, or if it's going to be a no. And then if we do put it to a vote, what's the result of that? Is it going to be the majority wins? So if we can look at the fact that anytime we're asking a question of ourselves or even asking a question of another, that I'm not expecting or that not to expect a direct answer, to just kind of leave the question hanging in the air as an essence in the room. So I find that in asking questions, it's kind of like faith move. There's in the scriptures, there's a saying in there about if you want this mountain to get out of the way, then speak to it and tell it to go jump in the lake or go jump in the ocean. And so I think that we have, as we can have faith, we can move mountains. But looking at the fact that faith is not capricious, it's not it's not unbalanced. It's something that we look at to really want to accomplish that would be more effective, something that would make it turn out for the good. And to realize that the power of our spoken word, that there is a lot of power to the words that we speak, whether it's asking or whether it's in telling, whether it is something that is good or whether it is something that is not so good. There is a lot of power in what we say. And also in our saying and in our questioning, we want to be specific, because if we have too many areas out there, it just becomes so overwhelming. So we want to be specific. It's kind of like, what do you want? Well, what do you really want? What do you really, really want? It all sounds good initially, but once you get down to it, get down to the heart of it, what is it that you really want? And be specific in that you can give a name to it. You know, uh, once you name something, animal comes up and you begin to adopt that animal. Once you give it a name, it's yours. And so the things that we're seeking for, once we give them a name, they become ours. And then realize that we think in pictures. So the pictures that we think of, it needs to be more clear, because we may already have what it is we're wanting, what it is we're questioning about. We may already have it, but we just haven't given enough pictures to it, enough dimension to it, enough specifics to it that we are aware of the fact that we actually have it. And so in the process of all this, we need to give time, that we can become more certain of what it is that we're questioning or wanting. But then it's also looking at the unpredictability, because there are so many degrees, and we can think that we're on the same scale with someone, but yet they're on one degree and we're on another degree, or they're on another, we're seeing another picture than what they are. And so these unpredictabilities, going back to the little quote of, if there's a mountain in your way, speak to it and tell it to go jump in the ocean. That in my mind, I saw this little cartoonish imagination that this mountain all of a sudden, it was a she because it was me, would all of a sudden have this, wide eyes and blinking. And then it would be like in the South with an antebellum skirt. And so the mountain would just reach down and pick up that skirt, and you could see these little feet and would just run, 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 and then just fall into the ocean. That we need to have more concrete things than that. Big Walker is a mountain in West Virginia, and I am from West Virginia. And whenever any of us would go back and take someone from Texas, well, we moved to Texas. My family, my parents and I moved to Texas in 1960, and my three siblings were already here, and they had married Texans. And so anytime they would come back to West Virginia to visit us, they would bring them in over Big Walker, because it was such an adventure. And I mean, you'd get to the top and it was just like it was going off into nothingness. And then you could see that the road was still there. But anyway, it was an adventure to always take new people that had never been to the mountains over Big Walker. Well, as life would go on and things would happen, when I married this Texan and we was going back home to visit the relatives and so forth, I wanted to take him over Big Walker. But as we were going up the mountain, the closer we were getting, the more traffic and the longer we had to wait in line. And what was happening was Big Walker was being cut down to size. They were taking the tip of it off, and I don't even know how many feet down that they were bringing it so that it would not be so mountainous to go over. And so it was a disappointment. It was one of those unpredictabilities of what you think you know, you've been to before, you've seen it, but then it has something different, something has changed. And so I wonder, what about the fact that we have these questions and we want them answered, and yet if we get them too quickly, we could become cocky. If we get the answers to or the dimensions of, we get them too quickly, we can become cocky and useless. If we can have too much self-confidence that we actually become a liability. And the wait time in between the unpredictability and what is more secure develops character within us. So there was an abstract mountain adventure that I had a few years ago. And that's when I was initiated. I was invited internally. I had this friend voice speaking to me to speak to someone else, to ask them a question, to kind of do some probing there, or to begin to get some answers. And in the process of talking with that person, nothing happened. I mean, I did what I thought was the thing to do and the questions to ask and the things to say. But the person, it was just like I wasn't even speaking to them. And nothing happened. There was no frustration. It was no thanks. It was just nothing. But yet a lot did happen because it was through that going back to questioning. It's not really to get an answer. It's to search the essence. It's to search what we do know and don't know so that, or what we need to look into, because actually a lot happened. I began to see, to listen and to heed, to live in the mystery of life. That we don't have to understand, and it's okay to not understand. That we don't always need to explain, and it's okay to not explain. That we don't always have to see the results, and that we really can live life without having anything to prove. So here's just a little quote that kind of in a connecting, non-connecting way seems to go hand in hand with questioning. So it's an anonymous person that said this. I ran across this several years ago, and I just think it's really powerful. When you come to the edge of all that you know and you're about to step off into the darkness of the unknown, faith is knowing one of two things will happen. There will be something solid that you can stand on, or you will be taught how to fly. Want to be taught how to fly. Well, and so I want to do that by really thinking about what the questioning is, whether it is me with me or whether it's me with others, and help them. I was invited to the RT corner this past Thursday, and I had made, in working with the prisoners, I had made a questionnaire of things that I wanted to know about them. But not only did my real agenda, okay, my real agenda was for them to know themselves. And so it was just asking questions, not to have you recite something, but to really think about it, to see, is this me? Does it match my personality? Does it match who I am? So anyway, I'm going to close the recording. And those of you that are here, we will chat a while. So many blessings and thanks for being here for the recording.